What's going on, guys? How are we doing? How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's all good. Okay. So, we all know where we're at right now. BTC. We'll put my hands in the air to start things off and say that I got stopped out here. I believe it's still, no, I have it. Actually, maybe I do on my BTC chart. Probably still got the position tool there. Yep, here it is. What a pretty picture. Right, fully stopped out. Was aiming for a high R trade. Fully stopped out here. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I took the trade with as wide a stop as I thought I could. Let's just run through my gatekeeping process so you can see in real time why I took the position, and we can do some post-trade analysis together as well. Okay. Can you guys just let me know if you can hear me okay? Because previously I've had a few issues with sound. Just let me know if you can hear and see me okay. I appreciate it. What's up, Ghost? Does it sound okay, dude? Yeah? Alright, thank you. Fox Physique, appreciate it. Live and direct. Yeah, we're in the cut, Ange, we're in the cut. Well done for turning up today, folks. Not an easy time. So give yourself a pat on the back for even just being here and tuning into the stream, right? That's that already shows me that everyone that's turning up here is much more serious than the people that aren't, you know? So give yourself a pat on the back and realize that, yeah, I'm sure a lot of you got stopped out recently or have, you know, suffered. But just know that there are brighter days ahead. There are many markets to trade. And as long as you're still turning up every day, you're doing everything you can. Okay. So let's just run through this. For those of you that don't know what gatekeeping is, I'm sure you're all familiar, but if you don't, it's my pre-trade checklist that I've created in Typeform, which basically runs through this. This is my system, okay, and does it through a flashcard style, which keeps me in check if I'm ever feeling within like the range of tilt in any way, shape or form, if I'm feeling overly confident, overly arrogant, if I'm having little sleep, if I'm feeling sick, for whatever reason I'm not 10-10 on my game, then I'll use this to keep me in check. And yeah, I know it all already, but it's just a framework. I often use the analogy of the rails in bowling, right? You know, when you have those safety rails to just keep you in your lane, basically, right? So which system am I operating? Regular system. This isn't a breakout trade. Is the trade based off a sweep, supply, demand, or deviation? Yes, because at the time it was here. Let's just bring it back to where it was. Where are we? Probably here. Yeah. Okay. Yes, it's a sweep trade, right? We're taking out this higher time frame low here. If a sweep deviation play, you're operating at either the absolute final high low, or at least a high low that it's independent enough from others it can stretch for. Yes, this is the absolute final high low. There's nothing here, right? In this area like so. Right, there's no more like lows down here that it could come for and sweep. So yes, by virtue of that, it is. Do you have a well-structured double divergence across the RSI in a 30-minute? Yeah. So if we look at the 4-hour, right, that's my primary time frame of execution here. Clean divergences across the 4-hour. Here, double divergences, right? In addition, something that didn't crop up on the gatekeeping, right, but it's a high-level nuance to my system, is this triple drive here, right? Drive 1, this wick. drive 2, second wick, drive 3, third wick. This is what triple drives look like. You want them to be tightly packed, right? And basically you want to be able to do something like this and draw a trend line, right? So tap 1, tap 2, tap 3. You always want them to have the wicks, right? And when using triple drives into your trade thesis, you want it to look textbook, right? So you need to have these wicks here. And again, it's like one of those high-level applications which rarely presents itself, but when it does, it has to be woven into the trade. And kind of my hand was forced based on, you know, stuff like this, because the last, as I said on Twitter, the last BTC trade that I took was up here. Okay, it was up here. I shorted this triple drive. Again, wick 1, wick 2, wick 3, same exact pattern, just to the flip side, right? And you saw the play out of that. Okay, like, yes, I cucked this trade to a degree. I only squeezed 6R out of it when I could have squeezed 60. But that's fine, you know. Again, you know, hand was forced, right? Up there, I was fading the daily trend up there. Didn't feel comfortable, didn't feel right. Had to do it. Again, down here, fading the daily trend, right? I'm going counter to the daily trend. When I'm looking to align with a trend, it's always daily trend, right? That's my parameter, that's my metric. My time frame is the daily. Fading the daily, right? It's never something I like to do. I always want to align with the daily, right? But yeah, hand felt forced based on things like the triple drive, double divergence. Yes, we've got this. We had everything, right? Apart from this. Yeah, is the trade pro or counter trend on the daily? It's counter trend. Do you have extreme speed prior to divergence forming? No. Well, in a sense, right? If you look at the daily, you can kind of say this is speed actually. Do you have strong delta confluence? It was extremely strong delta confluence in here. So this spike of delta here is the biggest spike of hourly delta within the chart's look back period. And if you just look at the clusters of delta that's formed here over this entire chart, right, you can see how much delta is produced here. Insane amounts. If ETH does BTC look like it's positioned against you anyway, at the time it didn't. No. Is your trigger on the 1 hour plus? Yes, it's a 4-hour trade. Does this trade belong on the wall of fame? Absolutely, right? With the triple drive, with this being, you know, such a key higher time frame low over here, weekly low, you know, from a higher time frame position and standpoint, this is exactly the area that you want to be operating and doing business in. I'd waited from here to here to take another trade, right? So that's 4 months of not taking a trade on BTC, 120 days. Absolutely. Right, absolutely warrants, you know, that patience, that discipline, that stringency. Is the path clear enough in terms of first hitch? But again, going back to the daily, right, and inefficiency in here. Have you waited for the appropriate counter trigger? Yes. Like everything is your stop placed as wide as possible whilst being reasonable. Again, yeah, it was a pretty wide stop here. You know, I'm not like doing this, even though the triple drive at the highs. You know, I was looking at this and going, should I try and place my stop just up here? Because when I shorted this, I did something like this, the same thing, right, and gave it a wide berth, and then took it down here. Well, it wasn't actually this wide, right? It was something like this, and took it down here. But you know, the triple drive, that third wick, was the pico top, right? So I was looking at this and the, you know, greed started stepping into my mind, and, you know, okay, cool, well, I'm taking this for this R, but if I then do this, then this is going to be, you know, I'm going to multiply the R by 2x or whatever, and it's, you know, I'm going to make this much more money if it plays, and I'm going to look like this much more of a Chad if I, you know, nail this R trade as opposed to this R trade, and then I can post that on social media or whatever the fuck, you know, these narratives that creep into your mind. But I don't trade or operate like that anymore, right? I always have to abide by my rules, abide by my system, operate in the absence of greed at all times. And I saw people in my group getting stopped out when it did this. right? So I knew that people were doing that, and fair enough, right? But again, a note on stops, and I say this over and over again. I said it in my last video, the 2-hour system video that I posted this week. If you haven't checked that out, please do, because I run through literally everything I've learned in the last 9 years in one video. Everything from technical analysis, price action, psychology, application, execution, the trading terminals I operate on, how I place my orders, how I place my stop loss, how I size up, position size, manage risk, manage the trade. And there's so many gems in that video, I cannot actually put it into words. And then I go into my journaling, the gatekeeping, everything. So do check that out. But in that video, I talk about having wide stops, right? And just talking about why you need to have wide stops, right? So you've probably heard the aphorism that 99% of the people that try and make it in trading fail. 1% survive, right? 1% make it. Like, just think about that. If that's true, right, and I do believe that's true, then your goal should be survival, right? And that means surviving your positions, right? So when you're in these early stages of positions, you need to just fucking survive. Like, unless the trades you're taking, you're entering, and every single fucking time, right, they're just running in your direction. Every single time. Unless you're looking at your journal, and from entry, there's no stress, there's no challenging to your stop. There's nothing like that, right? You're just fucking flying. You're Neo in the Matrix. You're 10 out of 10 in tune with the markets, right? Unless you have that third eye, then you need to have wide stops, right? Unless every time you're going, okay, cool, my stop wasn't challenged, right? Nothing happened. My trade was never underwater. It never did anything like this. Never mucked about. Well, it would never look like that. But unless you're just immediately running from entry, you need to always have wide stops, right? I always say survive first, then thrive, right? You can't be walking into this game aiming to thrive from day one. That's not how it goes. I'm not at a position, right? I've been trading for 9 years. I'm not at a position where I can start trading with tight stops and nail them every time. I know that I need to have wide stops to cater for more fuckery. Anyway, going on a rant here, but I really want you to adopt that and integrate that into your trading if you're not already, right? And it's something that I see time and time again, and I'm speaking from first-hand experience here when I say it took me the longest time, thousands of trades of being greedy. I mean, literally thousands of trades of being greedy, right? Until I realized that this was the way. And it seems like the slow path because you're making less money, but you're making some money, right? It's actually the faster route. So please take that on board. Have you checked if higher time frames can form a divergence? Also, yes, we did that. Taking the trade. Anyway, I just thought I'd run through the gatekeeping process just to show you how pass with flying colors, but then also have the added nuances of the triple drive and how this was. And my gut felt off when I was taking it, right? My gut felt off, but it was also something that I just had to do, right? And I said that on X, that my hand just feels forced here, like my hand felt forced at the top. I took a 6R trade. I put one of those R's down on this one, lost it. That's okay. On to the next, right? And yeah, I just want to put a note out to anybody that's been massively cut up on these moves as well. Practice self-kindness, right, is the most important thing. Practice self-kindness, because one day, and it may seem like such a faraway destination in your mind, but one day you will get to a point where you don't actually care, right? That's where I'm at right now. Like, I wasn't looking at this position. Like, firstly, what I do as soon as I'm in position is I do this, right? Hide it. That's a little psychological trick that I use, and it does help me. But also, you'll get to a point where you just don't care, right? Like I said, 6R at the top, risking one of them down here. Like, I'm not fussed about that. Like, I don't really mind if I get stopped out. That's all good. System told me that I needed to be in position. And that's what I had to do, right? So you will get to a point where you don't care, and these nukes on price, or these higher time frame inflection points that you try and size up into, or this and that. And I know how stressful it can be, right? And unfortunately or fortunately, I'm reminded by my students in my Discord. I can feel their pain when they're typing and saying, I got fat L today. This one was really tough, and this and that. And I know that feeling so well and so intimately. It's a visceral feeling that I still have PTSD from. And I actually, we will go through the markets. I actually spoke to my therapist about, I did work with a therapist about PTSD. He was applying the same methods with me that he was applying to people with legit PTSD. Because the market does scar you, and it becomes so painful and all of that sort of stuff. But just know that you will work through it, and you will come out the other end. And just give yourself a pat on the back, right? Practice self-kindness, give yourself a pat on the back. Know that you did your best, right? Take a break if necessary from trading. Come back, journal, reflect, integrate, right? Just write down everything. Go for walks, walks that are the sole purpose of that walk is to clear your mind. You're not going there with music. You're not going there with your missus. You're not going there with a friend. You're going there to think about the position and think about how you could have done it better, right? Or any takeaways, right? Were you being greedy with your stock? Were you oversizing? Were you counter the trend? Whatever it is, go for that walk, come back, write it all down, integrate it, okay? So, onto the markets. BTC, we know where we're at, right? We know where we're at. Absolute nuke city down here. Only saving grace is we're tapping into this monthly cluster here, but we've kind of scorched through it, to be completely honest, right? We've lost the monthly 50 if we close anywhere in this region. Weekly smash down to the overextensions, no surprise. 3-day overextended, daily overextended. A ridiculous amount of delta. So although we may see a bounce in this area, until we reclaim, or if we reclaim this really, this level here, unless we do, then yeah, you need to align with the trend from here on, start looking for shorts, and it's as simple as that. Okay, so keep it simple, align with the daily trend. Again, like I say, I never really try and fade the daily trend unless all the stars align and my hand feels completely forced to do so. Yeah, it's very simple from here, right? Just start looking for shorts, align with the daily trend, and just play into that rationale, okay? So another note, right? If you just look at BTC and look at ETH here, they're quite confused higher time frame charts now, right? They're quite confused. And what I mean by that is they don't have much directional confidence, right? Look, if you just look at this here on the higher time frames, this is just a range, right? This is just a ranging market here on the higher time frames. It's a 5-year range, but a range nonetheless, okay? And the easiest trades to take are in trending markets as opposed to bracketing range-bound markets, okay? And by virtue of these being range-bound and bracketing, they're not really the markets that I have my eye on these days. As you guys know, I've been moving over to traditional markets of late, and it's been great, right? It's been great moving over to equities. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm still within the paper testing stage, right? So I'm not applying capital. Just feeling the markets out, seeing what works from this system, the system that we trade and operate, what maps over, what doesn't, right? Applying the nuances, etc., etc. So we can take a look at the equities side of things in a sec, because I do want to explain what I'm talking about there. But until then, let's just run through some of the crypto markets as well. I think we can start, we're on the wrong charts here. We can start touching up some levels here. Yeah, there you go, just opening it up. Case in point. BCH taking out equal lows here. BNB, I mean, need to clean this up. Lost every level. All right, next lows are down here. But again, I mean, I really want to echo this point. I want to align with trending markets these days as much as possible. So these, you know, even though I'm marking levels here, they're not of particular interest to me at all. Again, there's nothing which is, you know, I mean, directional to the downside, fine. But again, just looking at this, all right, this is still just a range here, you know, and that's really the lens to be looking at things from. Again, just a bunch of sideways, right? It's not directional. That is a directional market, right? Gold has been a directional market. XRP finally lost this level, didn't take the position. Tried one stab here, came out for minus 0.3. Didn't take the second here. Don't know why. Didn't have my eye on the ball, to be honest. Spending too much time over on the equity side of things. Zcash, cooked. Right, cooked. HBAR lost the level. Zora lost the level. CC, I'm still looking for a wipeout here and looking for a short. Yeah, and deviation locked in. But crypto is just not where the value is right now, guys. If you're solely trading crypto, just move over to trad, just to paper trade it, right? Just to feel it out, okay? I've been trading crypto for 9 years now, and I'm just kicking myself that I haven't done this sooner. You know, there's been so many times where I've tried to dip my toes over, and for whatever reason, there's been no longevity there. This is the first time where I've, you know, really dug into those markets. And so going back to what we were looking at the beginning of this stream, the gatekeeping process, there's two systems that I utilize. There's the breakout system, right, which is for directional markets. And with the breakout system, we're looking for trend side triggers. What a trend side trigger means is that you're looking for longs to play into the upward move, right? You're looking for shorts to play into the downward move. You're not taking a pivot trade here, right? You're taking the breakout trade here, right? So let's say it breaks out here. You're taking that breakout trade here. That's a trend side trigger because you're on the side of the trend, right? You're longing into strength using a breakout or breakdown application in a nuking market. And I think the breakout side of things is easily the most promising on the trad side of things, really. So, you know, looking at markets like this and saying, okay, cool, we have a nice trend line here. I need to see consolidation here, right? So I need to see consolidation prior to the breakout, and you need to see all the hallmark characteristics, but then play into those stronger markets. And again, it's something that I covered off in the last video. If you want to skip to it, it's a section called Confluence. But just talking about how there's been so many times over the last few years, crypto or trad, that I've seen, you know, the most heavily confluence setups, right? So you're coming, you know, down here and you're diverging and you're taking out this low here, and you know, you do so with speed, and you have all of these different, you know, price action concepts that are harmonizing. and let's say you can, go through your journal in such a fastidious manner and say, there's 5 different things that all the stars are aligning, akin to the BTC trade, right, that we were just running through. And then you'll just see something just break a diagonal and just run. And you're like, well, why the fuck am I making this so difficult for myself? And the reason being is because, it's once you learn technical analysis, it's very easy to lean comfortably into, oh, I know this, I see this, I need to action this. When really less can be more, right? And, leaning into the strength of the trend is just the most important thing you can do really as a trader, by my system anyway. Swing trading, and using the breakout system versus the regular system. For instance, if we go to these 2 trades, these are 2 test trades that I've taken on DE and KO, right, Coca-Cola. And again, it's just these are, super simple positions, right? You still you want to be scanning through multiple time frames to write notes like this, monthly primed reset, 4-hour to 1 week break. What that means is that the monthly is just completely primed here, looking at the higher time frames, right? We have that reset, and we've been speaking about it in the Discord. What I think one of the biggest applications that's mapping over is higher time frame resets, right? The respect that's given when you get these exact resets, tapping down to 50 and using it on the RSI as support in an uptrend, or using it as resistance in a downtrend, has been kind of like a cheat code, to be honest. It's gold dust. So that's one application. Resets, monthly primed resets. Okay, cool. You can weave that into your trade thesis, fine. And then you look at the breakout level here, super clean, ascending lows, right? So we've got that market structure confluence. Those that pay attention to my breakout system will know that that's something that I want to see at all times, right? Is those ascending lows for a long, or descending highs for a breakdown short. And then you go down to the daily. Yep, still got that clean level there. And then we're fortunate enough to be able to still go down to the 4-hour and still have it as a well-respected horizontal level. That means that we can then use the 4-hour trigger as opposed to the weekly trigger or the daily trigger. Slightly, tightens things up, makes sure we're entering at the most opportune point, and just running this trade higher as a breakout trade and playing into the sheer strength of the market. Right, it's a very simple system, as long as you respect the rules. For instance, at least 3 well spaced out taps. Here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so more than enough. Consolidation prior to the breakout has been something that I've been having to bend my rules ever so slightly with on equities. Right, normally I'd want something like this. But a few stalls back and forward has been kind of more where I've been landing with equities, because I've seen a lot of markets just doing this and just fucking going, not giving a fuck. Whereas in crypto, if you saw this, it would almost guaranteed be an SFP, right? Failed break. So again, some adaptations, some nuances, and again, why it's so important when moving over to new markets, new systems, even new indicators, whatever it is, any new applications in trading. Take your time, be patient with it. Just document, trade, get a good set of data that you can work with before applying your capital. But again, like I say, the breakout side of things on equities seems like the one. Just on trad, to be honest, because yes, we're looking at these trades here. But if we go over to, markets like silver, this was one of the first test trades I ran on trad. And again, could have squeezed way more meat out of the move. But it was here, right? And just very simple. Got a daily cluster here, or 3-day cluster even. Okay, but you've got the demand here. A raging market, so we're playing into the strength of the trend, right? We're trying to align with the trend. We're looking for the strongest market. So that's the other thing. It's not just about playing longs in strong markets. You're looking for the strongest markets, right? Just stack those probabilities in your favor, guys, right? Just look for the strongest markets, and then you're looking for any excuse to board the train, basically, right? And, you know, I'm not just going to look at a strong market and blind long it, right? I never do that. But you're looking for a valid reason, 1 or 2 elements of confluence, perhaps, instead of 4 or 5. So for here, tap into demand, right? Notable wick, right? So you've got that buying impetus coming through that you can see in that daily body. And also, if we just go here, just to tighten this up a bit. Also, nice reactions here, right? With the RSI. The RSI is in a very healthy position on the daily. What does this tell me? At the moment, we're currently holding above the 50 level, right? Which, as you know, using that for support, integral in most markets, particularly traditional markets, by the looks of things. But then it also tells me that it's got a ton of room to run, right? Tons of room to run to the upside if the trade does go in our favor. So again, it's a very simple trade, something like so. Run it up higher, and yeah, that's basically it. You know, just look for those strong markets to align with. Also took a nice trade on gold in the same sort of period. And it's as simple as that, right? Lower the confluence to align with the strongest markets, play into the strength of the trend, and look for those you know, raging markets to play into. Or, you know, I don't have sort of latent bias within me where I'm like, okay, I need to just only take longs. If there's nuking markets, do the same as well, right? So if you want to play into that on the crypto side of things, then do so. But, you know, there are few markets that look like this to the flip side on crypto, because you've either got these sort of markets here, or ETH, which is range bound, or whatever it is, and then where are we here? The rest of the markets just look like this. Like, you don't want to be trading this. You really do not want to be trading this. You want to be trading this, right? Or, I mean, obviously this is a bit skewed because it's had a huge correction. But you want to be trading, you know, those markets that look, you know, just compare the weeklies here of these two markets. I mean, they're incomparable, right? And again, you're just using the strength of the trend to stack the probabilities in your favor. And it's as simple as that. And, you know, hopefully there will be a time again where crypto has its day and everything is aligning and very directional. But until that point, yeah, it's tricky times. Tricky times. So, as you guys know, main emphasis is on trad at the moment. But that being said, let's run through. I haven't done a scan today, right? And I haven't done a higher time frame scan in a minute. So I think I'll be moving on to that now. And we can start with the crypto markets. You know what? There's just little point. There really is little point looking at these weeklies. And a lot of them, like, considering the moves that BTC's put in, like, there's not even that much going on here. It's because they're flat on their ass, right? They are just flat on their ass. Like, until we start seeing stuff like this, and we get that confirmed breakout to the upside, and we're like, okay, cool, these are back now, right? These are back. Until we start getting stuff like that, and to be honest, even if we get these signals, I'm not even sure if I'd be taking that position. I think I'd rather let that start playing out, right? if it were to ever happen again. Let that start playing out, and then move down to the 4-hour time frame, move down to the hourly time frame, and try and snipe lower time frame trades within a trend that I have more confidence in, as opposed to something that I think may just do this and then just takes out this high, for instance, up here, which we've seen on quite a few markets in this watch list, right? Oh yeah, it's breaking out again, it's back, and then it does this, and then just SFPs it and comes back down and just remains in the range essentially. Let's move over to trad. Do a daily scan. So again, a market like Nvidia, alert down at the lows, right? I don't have an alert at the highs, as you can see. Why? Because I want to be taking long positions, and long positions only on this market. I want to align with the higher time frame trend. I don't want to fade it. Make my job easier for myself, right? Don't try and be a hero. Don't try and fade the trend. It's something that I used to love doing and thought it was brave and thought it was, buy when there's panic in the streets and all of that sort of crap. But now it's something that I just simply hate doing through years of scar tissue. I always want to align with the trend where possible. Another observation which has been quite interesting is obviously, getting used to the gaps, which I felt, categorically allergic to when I first moved over. But now I'm actually quite enjoying watching them play out, right? Because they're basically just like single prints on a TPO or inefficiencies on price, which are just quite nice extra pieces of confluence to map into your trades basically, right? So here I had a potential breakout level, obviously gapped up here, bit of a cunt, couldn't get any trigger on it, but looks like that was a good thing in the end. But you see how quickly it just moved through this gap here, right? And then left another gap and then moved through that gap. And the gap fills seem to be pretty real, and they seem to be pretty reliable. So just a nice extra piece of confluence to weave into your trades basically. So again, I'll map that on here. And what I mean by that, right, is let's say, triple stack lows down here. Let's say, I'm probably not going to, but take this trade here as an SFP. Then again, it just gives you that, you go, okay, cool. Well, and this is the part of the journal where you're talking about the path of your trade, right? You can sort of weave that into the pros of the trade and say, we've got a gap above, right? Inefficiency above. It's that sort of thing that I'm talking about. And then once they get filled, just simply remove them. Again, potential 4-hour div, potential daily divergence in here. It's just these markets are not the kind of markets that I'm looking to position into really these days. Like I say, the most promising markets have been the ones that are raging, and then trying to align with them as opposed to trying to knife catch anything in here. Do you guys trade equities or trad? Or is this just an interesting thing to be looking at? I'd like to hear from my audience and know if you guys do trade both crypto and equities. I know some of you do. Getting into it now. Yeah, you and me too, bro. It's taken me 9 years. But yeah, finally moving over. And again, this was a trade that I took as well in the new paper trading process. taking out this higher time frame low. I believe we had, you know, hourly divergences, double divergences here and here. Gap above, again a nice well confluence setup, right? Did not work out. Okay, so again it just goes back to that point of just trying to align with those strongest markets, right? And I'm not talking, when I say strongest, I don't mean strongest in an upward sense, just to clarify. I mean just the most directional markets, and just trying to board that train, right? Dropping your stringency to do so. And you know, I said it in the most recent video, I think that is truly the high level application that takes, you know, struggling traders to traders that are enjoying the markets. It's knowing how to scale up and down on that confluence scale, knowing how to join the strongest markets, or the most directional markets rather. Costco we've run through before. Again, I've started taking some as, you know, just more like investment, right? So like paper trading investments essentially, right? You know, higher time frame resets here. I've got 3 of them on the go, I believe, just to see how those play out as well. Honestly, was such a crypto native, I was almost trading crypto as a fuck you to the man, but here we are. Yeah. So again, something like this, daily breakout level, I'd be looking for the move up, right? Hopefully some sort of consolidation, breakout, play into that. This one, right? And I'm happy to go down to like the hourly time frame. Don't think I'm showing you monthly charts that I'm just a, you know, some boomer position trader who's waiting 10 years for a trade to play out. You know, I'm happy to go down to the hourly, like on a market like this. If the taps are well respected, right? You still need to have that valid breakout level to play into. You know, mark in the gaps, watch the dynamics of price, and just try and align with the strong markets. Again, I'll say that sentence hundreds of times in this stream. Hopefully it sinks in. Nice pocket of daily demand, intra demand here. Yeah, look, surprise, surprise. Happening again, yeah. This was another one of those higher time frame markets here. Deviation at the lows, breaking out of a diagonal, monthly RSI completely primed. Yeah, Equities was another one I wanted to play into, but just saw it took out this high. Again, when you've got this, you know, these wicks above a breakout level, something to pay good attention to. If you compare that to the likes of Coca-Cola here, when the breakout candle or trigger was taken, so this candle here, it was past this here, which is the last wick that it could sweep, and it closed above. So that's just another thing to bear in mind when trading these markets, you know, breakout trading. Please bear that in mind. You don't really want to be playing into a confirmation candle that sweeps the last wick up here. Just to sort of make things, again, just to tighten up your game, right? There'll be another market that comes up next week that doesn't do that and just closes like Coke did, and then just take that instead, right? There's always going to be another trade. There's always going to be another trade. just keep that stringency high in that regard, at least, you know. Again here, confirmation candle, you know, there's nothing up here that it could, you know, it's just confirmed the break. The sweep was here, right, and then it just did this, so all good to move in. And you can see, guys, I'm not doing stuff like this, right, at the moment, right, at the moment. I may change that, because what did I say at the beginning of the stream? Unless your positions are just insta running, then you can't tighten up your stops. But so far the breakout trades I've been trading on trad have been insta running. Right, that's nothing, you know, I'm not being cocky or arrogant, I'm just simply analysing the data and reviewing my journals. So I may start tightening things up, perhaps, but only if I have, you know, 10 or so breakout trades that I can look at and go, cool, they all just ran. Right, so at that point, I'm like, okay, I now am allowed to start tightening up that R on future breakout trades. Daily break, but wanted to see the third tap here, right? So we need at least 3 well spaced out taps. This is just 2, so I did want to see something like this occur. Alright, we didn't get that though, so I didn't take the trade here. Yeah, nice potential daily breakout level here. Another one here. Normally I don't like to play into anything left side. I want this to be just free, just air. But considering there's no, you know, this is just a straight inefficient move, I'm happy to bend my rules there ever so slightly. There's wifey coming in to kill the vibe. And the metals are having their sort of recessions here, right? So I was just looking at silver and wondering whether this daily candle here is going to be it, right? But again, like, you know, I'd rather play into the move that I played into earlier, and just saying, okay, cool, this is a lot stronger, as opposed to trying to knife catch. Not something that I'm, despite there being an inefficiency up here, not something that I'm particularly interested in these days. And again, it's something that I'll monitor. It's something that I'll monitor, but by far the easiest positions have been again, just aligning with the strong markets, taking the breakout trades, or, you know, like that tap into daily demand plus a reset on silver. Yeah, that sort of thing. Nice breakout level here on coffee. So again, like to see a move up into here. Happy to take this, you know, simply as this: 1 tap, 2 tap, 3 tap. That's all good. And when I say well spaced out taps, this is kind of fine for me here. That sort of spacing, as long as there is some sort of gap. Right? It's not just a cluster. All right, and that's it for today. Right, again, I imagine there'll be continued emphasis on the trad side, because that just, you know, seems like that's where the value is, guys. Right, you know, looking at trades like this, I would kill for a position like this on the crypto side. There aren't these charts there, right? These setups just are not present on the crypto side. So why be stubborn and remain in those markets, right? Like, again, just compare this to the 1 inch chart we were looking at earlier, right? if you're still feeling stubborn and still feeling like you need to just try and extract some value from the crypto side of things, then just compare the 1 inch chart to the Coca-Cola chart and ask yourself why you are the way that you are. Okay. Nice one, VDC. Good to see you. No worries, Augustine. You're very welcome. Been a pleasure having you in the Cord. All right, guys. Listen, I'm going to clock off here. I'll catch you next week. Right, these streams are getting slightly more informal, just treating them as sort of just brain fart and me running through the markets and scanning and talking about the trades that I'm taking, the opportunities that I'm looking at, keeping it very simple. And yeah, hope you enjoy.